Next up, I'd like to invite Garima Singh onto the stage for our next session.
Should we?
Yeah. Hi, Garima.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Garima Singh is the CTO of Pandora. Okay. Kicking off today's discussion, we're exploring how emerging technologies can build long-term resilience in e-commerce. So I'd like to put the first question over to you. With so much hype around emerging tech, how do you decide which trends are worth investing in and which ones to ignore?
Right. I mean, as a technology leader, the first thing that you do is, of course, monitor the trend, but also innovation that maybe, me being part of the super big company will not always be possible. So what you do is, of course, monitor what's going on in the startup, what are the startups doing in different kind of value streams of retail, let that be product design, manufacturing, supply chain, marketing activation, or even reusability or sale. Right. So first, really, the first thing that I do is to monitor the trend, both the technology trends that is provided by the software providers, but also I think nowadays very, very innovative startups in this space. The second thing is, of course, how do you really segregate the hype from the real value? Is the first thing to is always evaluate, like, what's the most pressing thing, what's the most challenging thing in your day-to-day business for the brand that you're working with, right? For me, it's Pandora right now. I worked at IKEA before. So we really look at the different value stream, the value chains, and then capabilities, that what are the real problems that we are trying to solve, and make it like very value-driven approach instead of going from tech for tech approach. Like, okay, now we have an AI, earlier we had the blockchain, so let's introduce that. No, what's the problem that you're trying to solve? And then, of course, the third approach that I usually take is like, once you have identified the problem to solve, get the focus, because there will be probably 1,000 problems to solve. Focus on 2 and 3, start small, adopt, learn, and then scale. So yes, I'm a CTO, but I would still advise go for tech for value instead of tech for tech and the hype.
If we just step back a few steps, can you give us a little bit on your background and how you got into this sort of space?
Yeah. So my background is back in 2005, I started as a developer, Spring Boot and Java back then. Started actually with British Telecommunication. Then worked for the banking again as a programmer, and then shifted to Sweden back in 2009. And since then, I have been living in Sweden, and of course has taken different leadership roles. So initial career stages has been a very developer centric, and after that it was more leadership to build business with the power of digitalization. So I have led, for example, I worked in Volvo Cars before, where I have led the EX30 car program. I was the design responsible end-to-end for that car. I have also worked in EX90 version. Then I joined IKEA, where I was accountable for also driving IKEA being a brick and mortar retailer to actually go omni-channel retailer, and invested quite a lot into the digital marketing space and personalization, and also the AI integration with IKEA Creative App. And currently, just from last 2 months, I'm working as a CTO, the Chief Technology Officer at Pandora. Pandora is, I'm pretty sure that at least all the women out there would know about it. It's the world's largest jewelry company. I love their jewelry. And what my responsibility is to, of course, set the overall technology and data direction for the company, but also uplift the digital ecosystem to the next level.
Can you share a time when adopting new technology didn't go to plan? And what did you learn from overcoming resistance and ensuring adoption across teams?
Yeah, let's talk about AI, as you were already talking about it, right? AI was, I think, on a highest on its hype cycle in 2022. I have been working with machine learning since I came from automotive since 2017, I would say. But in retail space, in D2C space, it came around 2022, somewhere 2022, where the hype was really, really high. Then the management, of course, came back to us and said that, what are we doing for AI? So again, instead of going value-driven, it went tech-driven, because that's what the rest of the industry was doing. So what happened is we got a lot of investment, I would say, for investing in AI, but what we didn't invest in is that we had all the prerequisites in the company to actually uplift ourselves to adapt to the new technology. So again, you talked about where it didn't went. I think one example that I can say is AI adoption in a very beginning didn't went very well. in one of my previous companies, and the reason being there was too focus on the technology but not the value creation. We didn't check and invested enough on foundation, like for example to build a good AI and for AI to generate the real business impact and value, you need to invest in the foundation. Like you must have the data quality, you must have the data foundation, you have data accessibility via APIs. So a lot of those things were very important that we didn't invest in, because investment was just on the AI and bringing the AI from outside, but it didn't fit. The second challenge or the second learning I would say that happened, which really has hindered us adopting the AI in that company, was the upskilling of the people and literacy to start with. What AI is really all about. What are the big benefits, where we will use it, where we will not use it, what are the risks associated with it, and also train our workforce around it. Because there are two ways of you could get AI, right? One, that you get it in something that you build it yourself, and something that will be embedded in the tools that you are already using, like GitHub Copilot, like Microsoft Copilot, and so on. So how do you literate and upskill not only just the technology community within the company, but also the executives and all levels, including our co-workers in retail. So that was another factor that didn't play well, where things, I think all the project timelines just went red, and it also introduced a lot of risk because we used AI where we shouldn't, and we didn't use AI where we should. So.
Okay, so how did you manage that situation as someone who leads all these teams?
I think the first thing is to really work on the prerequisites, and regardless of AI, I remember when it was also an IoT boom in 2017, or even cloud, right? The cloud boom back in 2013, it was the same. The first thing that you got to start doing is put a big holistic map. What is this technology solving for you? What's the objective of introducing this technology in your company space? That's one. The second is build at least both, I would say, here and now short-term gains versus the big bets kind of runway or a roadmap, where you actually see that what problem are you trying to solve here and now, and what would be your strategy in long run in adoption of that. And the third is, of course, and now of course the first two that I talked about is all about the tech transformation, but the big part of any digital transformation is the human transformation. And that's where I think invest quite a lot on literacy, upskilling program, but also really show what part of organization needs to adapt to this and what part can relax a bit, not like putting everything up and down.
So how do you balance the need for speed and digital transformation with the reality of having dozens of competing business goals?
This is actually quite interesting. I usually have quite interesting discussions with the CFO in the company, the CEOs of the company, and also the board at times. When you really capitalize the digital investment, of course, the chances of getting investments and prioritization is easier. What is not easy when you go for tech, which is often the foundation stuff. And at times, people also think that, hey, I have a digital transformation ongoing. Let's put all other priorities under the same bucket. So what I do usually as a tech leader is to really put a stop and say that the transformation is actually meant for a certain set of objectives, and that objective you need to keep intact without adding too much noise and distraction in it. So for example, if we are going to invest, let's say, AI-based personalization, then we will focus on transforming that value stream, not introducing, for example, aftermarket support or HR internal support in the same digital transformation wave. So really have a focus, not too much left and right. The second is, usually in the company, what I really have now built a very strong advocacy on is the 70-30 split. 70%, yes, the business, especially the companies I have worked with, they are not hardcore IT companies. IT has been an enabler, and now of course we also consider it as part of business. 70% what I call is tech for business, which really helps the business to either elevate the customer experience or bring new revenue streams, and that could be even to support our co-workers in the stores. But 30% is actually innovation and technical foundation, digitalization or modernization. Because if you don't have a strong foundation, there is no way that you could keep on building tech for tech continuously. So I think to answer your question, to find that balance, have that 70-30 balance in your backlog capacity on enterprise level, on the product team level, or even on the department level. That's the rule that I kind of enforce.
So you've worked in both legacy industries and with fast-moving retailers. What's your playbook for driving tech adoption in organizations with very different cultures and appetites for change?
Right. Change is hard, right? Technology and signing probably a commercial contract is easier. The change and bringing people along is hard. Especially I come from Nordics. It's a very consensus-built culture there. So usually what I do is over-communicate three things. What are we changing? Why are we changing? And how are we changing? Not to the all details, but at least show them the roadmap, right? Or a runway. So over-communicate this. Then the second is, of course, usually for the change management. Change is scary for a lot of people because it's an unknown and it's uncomfortable. With over-communication of what, why, and how, gives them some level of clarity. Then I would say the next step is obviously to create the ambassadors from within, like get those early adopters. In some companies where I have worked in a mining and manufacturing company before, those companies haven't really changed for last 80 or 180 years at times. So you need to find that 1% adopter, even though in a crowd of let's say 45,000 people, if you get one, that's good enough. Because they would create that change momentum that, oh, now the change has really delivered something, now you know it better. So that means that you can actually give it a try. So that's one. The second is I also build up a culture as a global leader because I had a global team which kind of resided in 5 different countries, is to have an innovation culture where you not just celebrate uncomfortable ideas which has led to success, but also the uncomfortable ideas that people have dared to step in which has not resulted into success. Also celebrate those, because that's how you build a culture and you encourage people to go out of their uncomfortable space.
I love that, celebrating the things that don't go well as well. When you're building a business case for new technology, what are the most effective ways you've found to get buy-in from sort of skeptical stakeholders or leadership teams?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I do as a CTO is to talk business language. So the first thing that I do is, of course, always prepare a business case which talks about the value that they care the most. So for example, when I'm sitting with CTO, it's all about numbers. So for example, if you invest into, let's say, a digital transformation of optimizing our supply chain, let's say if you build an isolated SaaS solution, that will go fast, but it will come with big bill. And if you want to scale it to more market, it's more cost. So let's say 100 million for the first time development, another 50 million euros for rollout to the next market. But then let's say the maintaining it is overall is 75 million every year. So it's not like it's a one-off development thing. You have got to maintain a piece of software. But if you do it in a right way, obviously it will take probably 6 months later. Little bit more investment, so let's say 110 or 120 million, but then takes 20 million to maintain it and 30 million to scale it to more markets. What's the better deal, right? So I would say get your CTOs talk the business language. That's the key. The second thing that usually I do is, of course, have a very clear value elements like what will you capitalize and what is the plain OPEX cost, what is the plain operating cost, but leading to mitigating some of the risk management. Because not every investment will give you monetarily benefit. Some investments are also meant for closing your gap of your current digital ecosystem and the technology trends with your partners outside your ecosystem. So how do you also minimize that gap and do the tech risk management, what I call it. So both capitalizing the investment, but at times when you can't capitalize, then it's something that you do it with the risk management.
So what myths about AI data or digital ecosystems do you wish more retail leaders would challenge? How do you separate hype from real impact?
I think the first thing that I really want all the retail leaders, especially the leaders who are not technical, to start thinking more of the problem that you want to solve rather than, oh, I want this tech. I remember a couple of years back when one of, I think it was a chief commercial officer who came to me and said that, I want to just put blockchain in this one and this will solve everything. And I'm like, but tell me what you want to solve. And then if we use blockchain for it, or data intelligence on top of it, or optimizer which is homegrown, that's leave it to the digital leaders, the how part. Tell us the what. So I think what I really want the retail leaders to start challenging is that not every tech is for you, right? So let your digital experts choose the technology stack for you, and you of course focus on the value creation. The second advice that I would really like to give, where I really want retail leaders to come and challenge, is of course the innovation, because at times I think the digital leaders are also held back in some of the companies. So partner up with the startups, partner it up with with the partners and suppliers outside. Do a use case, see that it works, and so don't hold back in breaking the stereotypes that, oh, this has always worked this way. Our ecosystem is too complex to change. No, so please challenge the digital leaders as well by bringing in the innovation from outside.
So the final question today is, how do you ensure your technology investments actually deliver business value, especially when the ROI isn't always obvious right away?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I mean, some things will obviously give you an ROI because that's so obvious. So for example, if I put like AI-driven personalization, it drives you, or it converts, let's say, certain percentage of your customer lead to become your customer, or it has a certain numbers that you could actually show in the gain of the revenue every year. But some of the investments is something that you could capitalize. Some of the one that you have to, I would say, focus a lot on building it as a foundation, and that's more for your risk mitigation and for your ability to scale faster. So I think I explained it earlier, like with the 100 million and 20 million example, that it's really that thing you need to keep back in your head, that if you do it this way, it's costing probably you more right now, but can this scale? Can it makes your landscape simpler enough, and so on. So yes, all these investments, like I said, some of them you can CapEx, some of them you absolutely can't. This is absolutely needed to run. To basically hold up this building, you need a basement, a very strong basement.
Brilliant. Thank you, Garima.
Yeah. Thank you.